and the heat gun's really good at sealing them off. And you can kind of see a change happen on the surface.
No, I see people go through their entire form and they're actually like conveying emotions about
This is one of my favorite things about working with this material is knowing that Windex is kind of like a universal solvent. If you ever forgot to wash your brush and it has a coat of paint, leave it in a cup of Windex for 24 hours and it'll come back to life. So Windex breaks down acrylics, which is, I'm sure it's happened to everything. Oh, thank you for the interruption. I like being interrupted. I like when you ask questions, and when it goes back and forth, that's really helpful. So please.
My question is, the material is this like those playgrounds? Is that?
Yeah, you see them in playground, or you see them, that same type of foam, you see them in gyms a lot.
Yeah.
So yeah, this is type of EVA foam. And I buy it off Amazon. Usually a packet of 8 is about $24 or something like that. They have different thicknesses and different types.
What do they sell it as? Like tumbling mats or?
Well, you can just look up EVA foam nowadays because it's bought for cosplay often.
Oh. Okay.
So EVA foam. EVA foam mats.
In the black EVA foam, they're now selling it like Joanne's.
Yeah. Oh, really?
Yeah.
Just That's a smart. Yeah. That's smart that they did that. I want to pass, let me pass this sample helmet around so you can see the quick seal. And what's happening with the drawing. So this actually needs a little bit longer to dry, but you can kind of see the varnish liquid cement on both edges is starting to dry. So when I touch it, my fingers can stick to it. I could put this together right now, and you would see that with a good way, so they don't come apart. You know, so this is the contact cement. That's why it's so useful. You don't have to tape something together and wait for it to dry.
Can it dry too much before you try to put it?
Yes. If you let it dry for a week, it kind of loses its elasticity. The kind of elasticity we don't really notice is little stick to your hand, but it doesn't feel itself after like a week.
It's like an hour.
No. And the most important part of this, you know, I'm just going to switch from showing the PowerPoint, which I think is not really. What I really want to show you, so I have recorded myself getting started. So I'm going to put this video on, and we're going to start from the very beginning. And I apologize, but if you'd like to come closer, if you'd like to change where you're standing, I thought there was going to be an overhead, and there isn't. So what I'm doing here is starting with my mannequin. And in my case, I'm going to use the head of the mannequin to be the measurement for the head of the helmet. And I can always add pieces on the inside if it's a smaller person's head, or to make adaptations. What I'm going to do is wrap saran wrap around the helmet, so that around the head, so that when I wrap duct tape around the head, the duct tape doesn't stick to the head. The saran wrap will come off with the duct tape. And the reason I do that is much like when you're sewing, you need a pattern. When you're creating an EVA foam headpiece, you need a pattern, meaning you need kind of a flat version of the shape of the head, right? Something that you can flatten out. So you can go from a piece like this to a piece like that. At least this is a part of it. So I'm wrapping in EVA foam. I'm wrapping in, saran wrap. And maybe I can play this faster, I'm not sure. Here I'm wrapping the head in duct tape. Yeah.
So you have a mannequin in this space, but have you ever made something have you start with a mannequin? Like if you had a real person that you wanted,
You could have a cast of a real person's head.
but you have to make that happen.
Yes, you would.
So you
Because
could do it the same way, right?
Not on the face.
just the way you have a mannequin, if you had a plaster cast of someone's head fully rounded, and people do that, like that type of effort is appropriate. I think if you have like a big budget film, that's how they do it. That's a lot of extra work. So if you could get an approximation, you know, and kind of augment it down the line, you bet it would take a long time to cast someone's head. If you're that committed, great. But the materials are really expensive too. You have to, they do it with a kind of like a rubber nowadays. It's intense. It's intense. There's really good videos on YouTube about how it's done for professionals. All right. Styrofoam. I need something that stays. And the styrofoam wig head is really smaller than the human head. I purchased one. If I had one that was the right size, I would use it. Yeah.
You could probably like add the foam that blows up to it, like build it out, and then.
There's a lot of ways you can do it. You definitely could, you know, be a sculptor until, you know, and sculpt a head that is the right size, and you're building a helmet, not so much a mask, so there's wiggle room. But so what happens in the end is this has to come off. So I think what you're going to see is, after I've got this on here, I've got to, this is the other half of the helmet, the pattern in the video, and I have to draw with my Sharpie lines, and I have to take either scissors or my blade, and go ahead and cut. I only need half of it. I don't need the whole pattern, because one half of the helmet is the same as the other half. It's a symmetrical helmet. And then I'm left with a duct tape pattern. And if you want to stand up and take a look, it's the only way you can really appreciate these various duct tape patterns. And I will demonstrate how they fit together, if I can. But these are all patterns that I've collected over the years. In the name of creating helmets, like the ones here. And after a duct tape pattern, I don't go straight from duct tape to foam. But I want to create either a paper pattern and lay that on the foam. You can come up and take a look. You'll be better off seeing for a moment what these really look like. And you label them. So I label them like back lower, so I can keep track of what part of the head this pattern corresponds to. Otherwise, it's a nightmare. In fact, I can't remember now because it's been so long. But you have to figure out where these things go with relation to each other. And I have a couple of half helmets. So these are, so you can see that this was part of a helmet that was meant to kind of fold together, and did, and I think I created the blue one over there from that. All right. So here is where I think it will come together. So this whole piece is a helmet. And if I just take a moment and I just tape the parts together, you're going to see a helmet. So this is the reverse of cutting a duct tape pattern. We're half of
One pattern is made, you just kind of base generic for whatever you're working off of. Do you make a new pattern from the face?
Yeah, because sometimes I want a helmet with a big jaw. Sometimes I want something tight. Sometimes I want something with sideburns. It's like I keep them just in case I can reuse them, but I might also say, no, I'm going to take something new. I needed to talk to you about something called registration marks, which are what the most advanced cosplay artists use. And you can see that I have, this is hard to see if I have right here, but I'll do my best.